Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a birthday book unboxing and my birthday book haul. Okay, so July is my birthday month and my best friend Serena has just sent me a lovely stack of books that she has wrapped to prolong my anticipation. I'm going to start with my birthday book unboxing and then jump right into a book haul of just some books that I picked up for myself. Okay, we're gonna start with my card. It says, "To my moonflower." We have this running thing that because we are both night people, just more creative at night, just we are up late, we love the nighttime, and I've always called myself a moonflower. So she has also become my fellow moonflower. So that's kind of like the running theme that we have going on between us, is that we're both moonflowers. A great friend is hard to find, but really easy to celebrate. I'm so happy to wish you the best birthday ever, my friend. To my dearest kindred spirit and most trusted warrior woman, I admire and appreciate you more than you know. I can't believe it's been 2 years. Here's to many more years and many more adventures. Aww, thanks, girly. You're so sweet. Awesome. Which leads right into this. It says, will it focus? Use me. It is a sword. I already knew this was coming. She sent me a picture of this. It is a sword. Let's see if it'll focus. Yeah. Has a little ruby gem on the end of it. All right, let's see what the use me note says. This is your trusted blade hairpin to guard you and to fend off all unwanted and undesirable ... fill in the blank. I will think of, I have several words to fill in that blank actually. So yeah, I will use this when I put my hair up in a bun. You can just like stick it, have it stuck in your hair. I'll have to take a picture of it when I do that. So yeah, speaking of moonflower, this is actually what I sent her because her birthday is a day before mine. So I actually found a book called How to Be a Moonflower by Katie Daisy. Now this is not like a book to read. This is more of like an artistic picture book. I mean, there are pages, you know, with like poetry and words to read on them, but it's basically, it has to do with everything of the night, the beauty of nighttime. And I'll show you some of the artwork in this. This woman, Katie is a artist. She's amazing. And let's see, here's one example. Oh, look at this. Yeah, so there's galaxies, the northern lights, how to make a moonflower garden, which is very appealing to me. Night swimming. She makes paintings of like nighttime animals, and it's just, it is a book, an artist's book all about the beauty of nighttime, and she really captures the ambiance of just the nighttime. There, you know, moon phases as well. She has moon phases in here. I'm going to try to find that page right now because I think that's gorgeous. Here we go. You have the moon phases on one side and then this beautiful, beautiful mountain. Go out and paint the stars, the mountain range, and it has some of my favorite colors in there. Yeah, so that is How to Be a Moonflower by Katie Daisy. Okay, first book to unwrap because, like I said, she has wrapped them all. So let's go in. And I'm going to use my handy dandy sword now, my blade, to do this. God, I love the sound of ripping paper. Love it. Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is one of my favorite books. This book ripped my ever-loving heart out, okay? If you have not read this, this is a YA fantasy. This is the backstory to the Queen of Hearts. It's the villain backstory of how she became the Queen of Hearts, the villain of Wonderland in the first place. Y'all, and first off, Serena, this is the edition that I wanted. The white, I wanted the white one, so you read my mind. Great minds think alike. Yes, I wanted the white one anyway, so this is fantastic. This book made me sob. I will tell you, I remember years ago when I first read this, I was sitting out in the backyard in the summertime and I was crying. I was at the end of it and I was just crying. I was just tears. And my father came out. My dad came out and he just stands there and he's looking at me. He's like, "What are you reading? What happened? Who died?" Like, he knows. He knew. It's like, what is the tragedy that has caused such turmoil? Yeah. This book is everything. I would never ask a man to read this book. This is a chick flick, okay? This is a chick flick. I don't expect men to read this, but my father did read this for me at the time because I had no one to talk about this with and it was like killing me inside. So this one's also for my dad. Thank you, Dad, for taking one for the team and reading this for your daughter just so I could talk to you about it. Yeah. Thanks. This is amazing. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to put this on my bookshelf now. This makes me so happy to have. Next one. Okay, let's see. What the sound? Yay! Oh, and she got me the hardback too. Whenever we open hardbacks, I always have to say you gotta look for hidden treasure. You never know when there's hidden treasure, like on the cover or on the end pages. You gotta look for hidden treasure whenever you get a hardback. There is no hidden treasure with this one, but I was not expecting to get the hardback of this. Thank you, love. Appreciate it. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. If you haven't heard me talk about this on my channel yet, this was my first Alice Feeney book, and the plot twists in this are fantastic, phenomenal. The excitement factor is everything in this, and I highly recommend listening to the audiobook because she really captures, the narrator really captures the atmosphere of this story because it's set like on the cliffside by the sea, and it is 100% an amazing ride. I love this book, 100%. And now I have it. Yay! Oh, all right, there's multiple. This one I think is a trilogy. This is a trilogy. I feel like there's 3 in here. Two, 3? It's 2. All right, this is a duology, and she wrapped the second one. Okay, well, let's talk about the one that is unwrapped. Hardback again. Thanks, girl. Oh, see, we have a little bit of buried treasure on this hardback, and it says, "Breathe fire." Breathe fire. And this is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. This is one of my favorites of all time. Yeah, love it. I'm pretty sure we buddy read the majority of things that she got me. But we loved it. We loved it. The duology, which I think this is the second book in this duology. Viking, this is my first Viking story that I had ever read, and it's YA, which is what I wanted. I don't want to read a lot of graphic things, and like, so the fact that this was a YA Viking story really sat well with me to try first for a Viking narrative and storyline, and it delivered. It was perfect. It was fantastic. The atmosphere, and again, audiobook, the narrator captured the story. If you're gonna jump into this, I recommend the audiobook. All right, second one, which I'm pretty sure is The Girl the Sea Gave Back. Yeah, The Girl the Sea Gave Back, which again, hardcover. Thank you. I love it. And actually, this one is my favorite out of this duology. It was book 2. And it was my favorite because it actually has a more somber tone to it. And of course, I love our main character in this and her purpose and her background. I did like this one slightly more than I liked the first one. All right, check for buried treasure. Yeah, got a little bit of buried treasure here. Oh, I love the white and the turquoise. Says the stones don't lie. The stones don't lie. There's the spine. I can't even tell if that's focusing. Is it focusing? Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love the colors. Oh, and it's textured on the front. Oh, I love the texture. Yay. I'm so happy to put this on my shelf. Just to have this duology on my bookshelf now makes me happy. Yes. Let's see what's in this bad boy. This is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Paperback. Yeah, I actually really like this paperback. Yeah. One of my favorite series of all time. I read this years ago, and I just remember, and I want to do a reread of this at some point. Probably not this year, so I'm thinking next year will be, sometime next year, I will do a reread of this. I'm actually thinking next year I'm gonna do some rereads of my favorites, and yeah, I just kind of feel like that's gonna happen, and I want to jump back into this world. I'm kind of craving it. I just remember it being so beautiful, and the prose, everything is, yeah, it's so if you don't like that kind of writing, you're not gonna like this, because the writing style of this entire series is just beautiful, purple prose. Everything is very like descriptive and detailed and magical. That has that magical feeling even in the writing, and it is just, I loved it. I loved it. It took me to that magical place, especially book 1, like being introduced, being in Caraval, and just the magic of it. Yeah, it was so good. Book 1 was great. Yes, love, you really did not have to wrap the remaining ones, because I already know what they are. She's just like, she loves to wrap, so yeah. Book 2 and book 3 for the Caraval series. Legendary is book 2 and Finale is book 3. I really do love these paperbacks. I think these paperbacks are gorgeous, and I love a good floppy. I mean, look how floppy they are. Oh my gosh, the sound, the feel. I love floppy paperbacks. These are fantastic. I'm such a nerd. I can like do this for, I could probably do this for half an hour and just feel completely content. I am so excited to finally have this series on my shelf. the Caraval series. Yes, beautiful paper, floppy paperbacks. Yes. Oh, you did good, girl. You did good. I love the colors of this too. Like, I'm just looking at these and I realize these are some of my favorite colors. Oh my gosh, especially this one with like the teal and the black and some burgundy in there, purple and gold. Love it. All right, final package. Again, we have multiples in this one. Okay, yeah. Vicious and Vengeable by V.E. Schwab. This is Vicious. I'm just gonna call it the Vicious duology. I don't remember if it has like a name for the villains. And it's actually not a duology anymore. She is making the third one, which makes me happy because it left open-ended. Like this one, Vengeful, it left the ending with, I was like, no, I was not satisfied with this ending. There needs to be more. Like, and with some of the characters, with what happened with their relationships, it did not turn out the way that I wanted. So I love the story. I'm just looking at it, like the first one on the spine. The first one has the skull and then there is a face. There is a face. I love that face right there. And I know whose face it is. It's perfect. It's perfect. It actually helps me understand what the main character of this one really like looks like. And it is sort of along the same lines that I kind of envisioned, but different, but definitely like the dark, shorter hair. Yeah. Anyway, that's just like a little gem I just realized. Little face on the spine. But yeah, anyway, the fact that there is going to be a third one, which makes this a trilogy now, to this trilogy. I'm not sure when that comes out, but I will definitely be jumping right into that one as soon as it comes out, as soon as it's released. But if you don't know, Vicious and Vengeful is a new adult fantasy series, basically like villains. It's called the Villain series for a reason. Following our main characters, Victor and Eli. They were like college friends. They're basically both sociopaths, and they start experimenting with death, and when they come back, when they bring each other back, they end up having superpowers. So it's kind of like, instead of a superhero story, it's more of a villain story. Villains, they're using their, and how, you know, they have an ability, and other people in the world, in this world, who have died. I don't think it's near-death experience. I think you had to have died and been brought back. So you have to have died for a certain period of time and then brought back. And everyone that has had that happen to them has some type of ability. So that is this world. The second book reads completely different than the first. And the second book gives more of like a mafia vibe. It definitely has more of a mafia vibe, mafia theme type thing happening with different characters. We have completely like different set of characters in book 2, with obviously, you know, the same characters from book 1, but just a different feel completely. And these are the only books that I like from V.E. Schwab. Yeah, I've heard that you either like her writing or you don't, but for me, the other books that I tried by her, I did not like at all, but I loved these. I loved these two, and I thought the writing was fantastic for these two. And I just realized that how much thicker book 2 is compared to book 1, because I listened to these on audio, so I really didn't pay attention to like the length at the time. But yeah, I highly recommend this series if you haven't picked it up yet, and I'm so happy to have this on my shelves now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is heavy. Can we see? All right, this is the 9-book birthday stack that Serena got me, plus my blade that I'm gonna dangle on the top there. Oh, this stack makes me so happy. Thank you so much, Serena. I love you. You're amazing. Thank you so much for gifting me this. These are some of my favorite stories of all time, and I'm so happy to have them on my shelves now. I'm just gonna leave my birthday unboxing stack here. Can't see the full thing. But now that we're done with that, we're gonna jump right into my little mini book haul of books that I purchased for myself that I found a really good deal for and I just could not pass up. All right, now on to my mini little book haul of books that I got for myself. First up, I have Race the Sands by Sarah Beth Durst. Look at the cover. You see it? I love this cover as well. I think it's just, ugh. I mean, I've read this story before. This was actually one of the first books that I read that got me back into reading as an adult years ago. So this holds a special place in my heart just because of that. It's a standalone YA fantasy, and this is a desert fantasy. Now, I haven't read too many desert fantasies. A lot of them are Arabian inspired. This is not Arabian inspired, but a lot of the Arabian inspired ones I found that I don't really like, other than Aladdin. I love Aladdin. Other than Aladdin, the ones that I've experienced I'm not really keen on because of all the jinn and like evil jinn, evil genies, things like that, and like the Arabian culture. I feel like I'm not drawn to it. I don't really get into that kind of storyline. But this is a desert setting that I absolutely love, and it's just fantastic. Just to give like a little brief synopsis of this, I'm gonna read the back because it's been a while since I've read it. Life, death, and rebirth in Bakar. Who you are in this life will determine your next life, yet there is hope. You can change your destiny with the choices you make, but for the darkest individuals, there is no redemption. You come back as a Keyhawk, a monster, and are doomed to be a Keyhawk for the rest of time, unless you can win the races. After a celebrated career as an elite Keyhawk rider, Tamra became a professional trainer. Then a tragic accident shattered her confidence, damaged her reputation, and left her nearly penniless. Now she needs the prize money to prevent the local temple from taking her daughter away from her. And that means she must once again find a winning Keyhawk and a rider willing to trust her. Then we go into another character's perspective. Rhea is desperate to get away from her domineering family and cruel fiance. As a Keyhawk rider, she could earn enough to buy her freedom, but she needs a first-rate trainer. So clearly, Reyna teams up with Tamra. They're both in a desperate situation. They team up together, and this is to win this race. So this is a Keyhawks are monsters in this world. Like, as you can see, there's one on the front, and as I read in the premise, it's kind of like a reincarnation type situation. Even though that is like the underlying kind of storyline or narrative for the book, it is not completely at the forefront, which I like. It's just kind of in the background. But this is such an incredible story, and there's nothing like particularly special about this book. It is just, I'm trying to put my finger on what it is exactly that I love. I think it's the fact that we're dealing with, our main character has this special ability as a trainer for these creatures, for these monsters. And our main Keyhawk creature especially is amazing. And the relationships that form in this surrounding our key hawk here. I just love it. I just love it. And I love lions as well. And the fact that our key hawk is more lion-like in this. It's just, the races are great. The action when the races do happen is great. It's fantastic. I mean, there are some things in this, in the writing, that could have been better, but I still love it. I love the storyline, and I do want to do a reread of this at some point soon to jump back into this world. Highly recommend this if you have not gotten to this. Solid. Next would be Of Honey and Wildfires by Sarah Korn. Now, I have mentioned this on several of my videos. I'm actually in the middle of this right now. I've tabbed quite a few pages so far. I'm about halfway through this right now. It's fantastic. This is a fantasy, and it's set in a kind of Western-like setting, so like a fantasy Western, and I'm just kind of like dipping my toe into some fantasy Westerns, and I'm really digging this so far. Yes, this is a 5-star prediction, so hopefully it lives up to that, but I love the storyline so far. I love the kind of fantastical elements of like shine, the shine in this, and how shine is the fuel for a lot of things, and it's magical shine. This is not moonshine we're talking about, people, okay? And honestly, the premise, like on the back of the book, the premise of this doesn't even do it justice so far. Like I said, I'm about halfway, at the halfway point in the story, and I looked at the premise on the back and I was like, yeah, the premise doesn't really do it justice, even as far as I've read. Like, there's so much encompassed in the story. So I would just jump into this blind. This is a good one to jump into blind. The second one that I picked up would be book 2 or actually book 3 to the Of Honey and Wildfires series. Book 2 is kind of not necessary. It's not, obviously it's like the second book, considered the second book in the series, but it is kind of like a companion story. Like, it's not necessary to read before you jump into this one, but it's more of a companion. It gets into different characters. I think when I read the premise of that one, you're exploring different characters in the world, and then when you jump into this one, it kind of gives more of context, I guess. I'm not gonna read the second one, or the companion number 2. I'm jumping straight into this one after I finish Of Honey and Wildfires. This is the Glass Rhapsody. So I am so excited to jump into this one once I finish Of Honey and Wildfires. And I broke my rule. I have a rule that I do not buy books to put on my shelves if I have not read them yet. I have shelf control, okay? Like, go watch my my favorite things tag. I say that in that video because one of the questions is, do you have shelf control? And my answer is yes, I do. I am not someone to just go out and buy all the books impulsively. I have a rule that if it's gonna go on my bookshelf, it has to be gifted to me, and it has to be a favorite of mine. A lot of the books that are favorites of mine are also usually ones that I've buddy read with Serena, my best friend. So to collect those it's heartwarming to me. It's so special to me to have that. So with this and Of Honey and Wildfires, I broke my rule for one reason, really, is because my library did not have these. And second reason is because her writing captivated me, and just reading the sample of Honey and Wildfires captivated me, and I went off my intuition that it would be something that I was going to fall in love with. So I just went with it and I bought book 1 and really book 2 of the Of Honey and Wildfires duology. Next is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is one of my favorite books. And I mean, I've read The Inheritance Games. I've read the entire series. This is by far the best book in that series. Like I've said before when I've briefly talked about this book, this starts off with such a bang, and when you start off a series like that, it's hard to keep that momentum going, and she wasn't able to keep that momentum going because it slowly started going downhill. Like, I liked book 2 as well, so book 1 and book 2 I really liked. After that, I was just like, meh, I wasn't really satisfied with how it all ended and wrapped up, and things just weren't as good as this. This is such an exciting read. Oh my gosh, Serena and I had such a good time going through this together. It was exciting, edge of your seat, like we barely slept. We read this a while back, and I'm trying to remember, I don't think we slept at all when we read this because we couldn't put it down. We couldn't stop reading this. It was so good. Just a little tidbit of a synopsis for this one. I mean, if you haven't heard of this, you've been under a rock. This one was hyped when this first came out, but we're following our main character, Avery, and she suddenly inherits a fortune from a man that she's never met. She does not know. And she is taken, I mean, he's the richest man, I believe in Texas. He's like the richest man to exist there. So she is taken to his mansion, and all of his grandsons are there, and they're all, she cannot inherit the fortune. I think it's a year. She has to, there's conditions. She has to live in this mansion for a year with these boys, and they have to complete the inheritance games. Literally, he creates a game in order to win this inheritance, and there's conditions surrounding that. There's riddles, there's mystery, suspense. Crazy things happen with this family. This family's pretty messed up, okay? Not gonna lie, some messed up things happen. Okay, if you can imagine a family whose fortune is not going to them, it's going to a stranger. So, okay, tensions are high, people are pissed, bad things ensue, but also a really fun mystery. The riddles are great, like you're trying to solve it with them. The riddles and the puzzles, the games, yes, 100%. If you have not gotten to this yet, what are you doing? Do it now. Next is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. This is a historical fiction, and this was one of the first historical fictions that I read starting up my reading journey again as an adult. And so it's been a while since I've read this, but I loved it, and I learned so much. I learned about something that I had no knowledge of prior. This is following several women who were called the Horsepack Librarians, I believe. Set in Kentucky during the time when the Roosevelts were in office. Eleanor Roosevelt was actually the one who funded this. It's about a mobile library. These women in the back hills of Kentucky are mobile librarians. They are riding on horseback to deliver books to all the people that live in the mountains of Kentucky. And they are going through all kinds of weather conditions. This is multiple POVs. I think you're in the perspective of all the women involved in this and their lives, where they come from, and during this time frame, all the things that women have to deal with, and their, you know, racism as well. Like I said, weather conditions, having to have the knowledge of survival. Like this, there are parts in this that start off a little slow, that I do remember things were a little slow to start, but once it gets going, it's so captivating, and you're just really drawn into this story. And of course, it's a book about books, and it's a book that represents the importance of a library and having access to books, especially for these people, how it changed their lives. These women were heroes. They were an example of a certain kind of hero, and I loved this story. I highly recommend this 100%. And finally, the last thing that I picked up would be the Prison Healer trilogy. Now, as you can see, the first two are the paperbacks, and the third one is a hardback. Now, does that bother me? A little bit. A little bit, okay? It bothers me a little bit. But price-wise, the hardback of the third one was actually cheaper than the paperback, and the paperback was out of stock, and I couldn't find it anywhere else. So, yes, I wanted the paperbacks for all three. I mean, they're nice and floppy. We love a good floppy. But it is what it is. In the Prison Healer, we are following our main character, Kiva. Says she has spent the last 10 years fighting for survival in the notorious death prison Zalandov, working as the prison healer. When the rebel queen is captured, Kiva is charged with keeping the terminally ill woman alive long enough for her to undergo the trial by ordeal, a series of elemental challenges against the torments of air, fire, water, and earth assigned to only the most dangerous of criminals. Then a coded message from Kiva's family arrives containing a single order: don't let her die, we are coming. Aware that the trials will kill the sickly queen, Kiva risks her own life and volunteers in her place. If she succeeds, both she and the queen will be granted their freedom. But no one has ever survived. With an incurable plague sweeping Zalandov, a mysterious new inmate fighting for Kiva's heart, and a prison rebellion brewing, Kiva can't escape the terrible feeling that her trials have only just begun. This series is phenomenal, and this leaves off with a killer cliffhanger. This was the first series that Serena and I ever buddy read together, and for that alone, it's special. But I'm going to tell you right now, this left off with a cliffhanger, and book 2 left off with a cliffhanger as well, but we had to wait. The wait was like excruciating because the cliffhanger was so good. It was so good. So just know, if you have not gotten to this yet, you can now binge the series. There is no waiting, so at least you don't have to like be like me and have to like suffer. You don't have to suffer in the wait. But the cliffhanger is great, the action is great, the plot twists great, the writing great, everything about this is great. This is a 5. Book 1 is 5 stars, okay? 5 stars, hands down, loved it. I was not crazy about book 3. I loved book 2 as well. Book 1 and book 2 are just so good. Book 3, how it ended, how it wrapped up, I wasn't really feeling. There was a few things I thought should have been done differently. Not everything was tied up. You know, some things were like open-ended. Some things weren't really touched upon that I really thought should have been touched upon. But y'all, the Prison Healer series, it's great. This is also a YA fantasy series. It is YA. I will always have a special place in my heart for YA. You know, if you have not been having luck with any YA lately, this is a YA story you need to jump into. It will pull you out of a slump. It will get you excited. It will re-amp your love for YA if you've been having a hard time. So those were all the books for my birthday book unboxing and my little mini book haul. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these, if you love any of these. I would love to know your thoughts about all the books that I just presented. I am really happy that I have all these books on my shelves now because my bookshelf is in the infancy stage. I kind of am slowly working on getting it filled with all of the books that I love. because that's what my bookshelf is for. I only want my bookshelf to have all the amazing stories that I just absolutely am in love with. And now I have some of my favorite stories to put on my shelf. So I really am happy that I have all these books now. Oh my gosh, it is all so heavy to lift. Ah! If you like this video, give me the thumbs up and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my upcoming bookish content. And as always, happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.